YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. So I got a little sun. Okay, can you tell? Am I a little bit red? We're gonna ignore that for right now. I am going to rank the Sims 4 worlds, and obviously this is very subjective. Everyone's going to have different opinions, but these are just my opinions on these worlds. I believe this was started by Lil Simsy. If nothing else, I'm using her template, but I've changed it a little bit. At the very top, we have Give EA a Raise, because these worlds are amazing. Right under that, we have Pretty Nice World. So it's a good world, but it's not, as good as some of the best. Under that, we have It Functions, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It functions, it does what it needs to do, but it doesn't really have that zing to get up on a higher level. Then we have Were They Drunk? So were they drunk when they built this world? And yes, there are a few worlds that go into that category. And finally, the last one, EA doesn't love us anymore. I'll let you guess what world goes there. But let's go ahead and get started. So the first world we have is, I believe that's Brychester. I'm going to put Brychester up here as a pretty nice world. It's very neat how they have the two separate universities and how the universities are divided out for different degree programs and the honors degrees and stuff like that. But going into the actual world-wise, it gave us dorm rooms. Everything considered, I feel the dorm rooms were all right. Obviously, they can always be made better, but they weren't some of the worst builds I've seen in the game. So it had some really neat dorms. It introduced the commons area. Brychester campus is really nice. It's beautiful. So, and then not to forget the little downtown area where there's the library, and then it goes out with the road, and that's just really well done. So I do feel Brychester is a pretty nice world. And next on the list is Del Sol Valley. Ooh, that goes into a were they drunk when they built this world? Between the mansion with the eyes that kind of looks at you is the world where the bathroom didn't have a toilet. I don't know. The world there was just, they did a terrible job with the buildings. I can't get behind that one. Same here with Glimmerbrook. That goes into were they drunk. We got, roofs not matching. We got stairs that lead to nowhere. The world in the outside part of the world, the part you can't play in, was all right, but the builds, those builds were rough. This is the camping world. Oh, that's gonna be a hard one. I think I'm gonna put it in pretty nice. It was a nice world. It's definitely a great place to go and camp. And I think it gives you what you need to camp. There's a few cabins you can rent. There's a campground. There's a little park, like a national park, not to mention the little hermit's house that you can go explore. I feel that one was pretty nice. Let's see, what's this? Magnolia Promenade? You know what? It functions. This was the world they introduced when they introduced the retails. So it's only 4 lots. So it's not a very big world. It does what it needed to do for this game. And back to Batu. Oh man, EA, Star Wars was at the bottom of what Simmers wanted in that little poll they did, and they made it anyway. This world just should not have existed. You don't bring Star Wars into The Sims. Don't get me wrong, I love The Sims, and I love Star Wars. I love them both. But if I want to play a Star Wars game, I'm going to go play an actual Star Wars game. I'm not coming to The Sims for that. Those are 2 separate communities. It's not going to work. What is this world? It's so hard to tell with these little thumbnails. I believe that's Newcrest. You know what? Give EA a raise for that. You made a world and it was completely empty. So you didn't touch it, so you couldn't mess it up any. No, I'm just joking. That's not why I like Newcrest. I do like Newcrest for the fact that it's empty. It's an empty slate. You can do anything you want to in that world. You can build it up And I think that is so, so cool. Newcrest is one of my favorites. Next is Oasis Springs. That goes into It Functions. It was a base game world, so obviously we can't expect as much of from it as maybe some of the other worlds. But at the same time, it does what it needed to do. It provided a starting place for The Sims, and we built upon that. The Jungle Adventure world. Oh, you know what? Give EA a raise for that one because there is so much in that world you can do. There's the local marketplace where you can go and learn about the culture and buy exploring supplies. There's the jungle itself. You can go and explore and get artifacts and stuff like that. You have to go. You can't unlock all of this places in the jungle on your first visit. You have to go a few times to be able to unlock everything. So it's engaging. The gameplay is there. The world is absolutely beautiful. I honestly can't even think anything too wrong with any of the builds, with the exception of the museum. The museum's a little sketchy, but overall, that was a really good world. Good job, EA. Oh, Strangerville. Oh, Strangerville hurts my heart. It goes into the were they drunk pile. First off, I was very disappointed because this world had so much potential. So much potential. You got these big houses in the fancy area of town, and there's just nothing in them. I mean, some of the rooms are just completely empty. It's not decorated, it's completely empty. It literally looks like someone just kind of whipped it together because they put it off. Then you've got the airplane house that doesn't even have a functional counter because they didn't check and see if the fruit area was on the right tray. It, I wanted that world to be so good, and honestly, I've seen people rebuild it. I want to rebuild it myself. It can be great, but they did not deliver on this pack as it is in base game. I'm sorry, they didn't. Sulani. Oh, give EA a raise for Sulani. I think that one was a good one. It's introduced the idea of the world changing based on your actions. So if you try to make the world nicer, it gets nicer. If you try to make it, dirtier, it gets dirtier. We got to swim in the actual ocean. There's the world itself was just beautiful. You can shower and woohoo in a waterfall. I mean, come on. I could sit here and go on about that world, but that world was really, really good. I think that's definitely one of the best worlds in the game. Oasis Springs, it functions. Again, base game starter world. Can't expect too much of it, but it does what it needs to do. It provides you a basis of getting into the game. Windenburg, ooh. I'm gonna put it under a very nice world because I feel Windenburg was done very well. I'm not a fan of the classic Windenburg siding. I don't know how else to say it. That white siding with the wood trim that kind of goes all over in triangles. I'm not too big a fan of that. I do understand that's a very European style though. So, and Windenburg's kind of supposed to, I feel, represent, a European style world. I couldn't get over it. But overall, I think it's a very nice world. There's a lot of stuff to do. The bluffs, that big house that I can never remember its name. If I'm not mistaken, it has the first dance club. So there's a good chunk of stuff you can do in that world, and it's very, very nice. My Shuno, yeah, I think that's gonna go in pretty nice also. It was awesome for time it came out in, and it gave us apartments. It has a very big city vibe. There's the food stalls. Ice Market is one of my favorite places to go, that little neighborhood district. Brindleton Bay, again, pretty nice world. Kind of a colonial style going on, and then there's also the docks that have a ton of character. I love the docks. Not to mention the island in Brindleton Bay where it has the museum there. It was a very nice world. Forgotten Hollow, I'm gonna go with It Functions. There's only 5. There's like what, 5 lots? Yeah, there's 5 lots in the whole world. It did what it needed to do. It provided kind of a creepy area, you know, a good place for vampires. This did come with a vampire pack. Just, it was literally just a world to introduce vampires, and there's not much else to it. Eco lifestyle world, again, I'm going to say it functions. Not necessarily a bad build. It's just a very bland neighborhood. Some of the areas look okay, but there's just nothing that really holds my attention to that world. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing that just gets me there. And our last one, the Snowy Escape World, give EA a raise because they asked good house builders to collaborate on that. Lil Simsy, James Turner, Simlessy. Either way, I know there were at least 4 or 5 of them who worked on that world, and you can tell the builds are so much better than if EA would have done them. I'm sorry, but they're just a lot better. So that's my ranking system. I know the Sims team gets a lot of flack for their builds and stuff, but really looking at it, there's only 3 worlds that I feel had major building issues in them. We're not even going to talk about the bottom of the list. But the very vast majority of the worlds are, I feel, great worlds, great builds. You know, some are obviously better than others, but overall, I kind of feel that The Sims gives you a good quality of the worlds. But that is it for this video. If you like that video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help us out. And I will see you next time. Bye.